Students, in previous video we have learned about different components of the biodiversity and different types of biodiversity and its conservation, different ways through which the conservation is necessary and it is done. In this video we are going to continue the remaining part of the chapter. In that, biosphere reserves. This biosphere reserve is nothing but the large undisturbed area where the wildlife is protected in their natural habitat is called biosphere reserve. So, the biosphere reserve is very important because the endangered species or the kind of vulnerable species are given a protection in a particular area. So, those areas are considered as biosphere reserve, where the large undisturbed area where the wildlife is protected in their natural habitat. So, this is a kind of concept which is called biosphere reserves. The biosphere reservoir is divided into three zones. One is core zone, second is buffer zone, and the last one is transition zone. So, first is core zone, innermost area of the biosphere reservoir where the human activity is prevented. So, this is completely prohibited for human, where the area is completely restricted, where the entry of the human is not allowed. So, this is the core zone. Second is buffer zone, it is outside the core zone where the human activity is permitted. In buffer zone, uh, in buffer zone 1, publics are not allowed, only research activities to wildlife is allowed. So, there are different zones again made in buffer zone. One is buffer zone 1 and the second is buffer zone 2. So, next to the core zone, buffer zone 1 is there where the public is not allowed, but there the research fellows are allowed. So, they can do the research and they can observe the living organism. For that purpose, this zone 1, buffer zone 1 is made. In buffer zone 2, public can enter for purpose of observing wildlife. So, public can enter in that area, buffer zone 2 in the area will be allowed. The traditional activity like collection of fruit, seeds, honey are allowed. So, their product collection is also allowed. Next is transition zone. Agriculture activity are noticed in this area. Soil erosion, deforestation and overgrazing are common in this area. So, this area is little less restricted where agriculture activity can be done, then soil erosion, deforestation, overgrazing can be done. There is no restriction in that area which is called transition zone. Next is national park. National parks are protected areas which is strictly reserved for conservation of wildlife. So, national park are responsible for protecting the wildlife. So, they are strictly reserved for conservation of the wildlife. The human activity, grazing, cultivation are strictly banned in this area. So, in this area they are completely banned. Importance of the national park of India. Important national parks of India. Bandipur National Park in Karnataka, which is protected animals are in elephants and tigers. So, where the elephants and tigers are protected, which is Bandipur National Park, which is there in the Karnataka. Second is Kaziranga National Park at Assam, which is protecting animals, one horn rhinoceros. So, one horn rhinoceros are protected there, which is Kaziranga National Park present in the Assam. Next is Sundarbans National Park at West Bengal, which is protecting animals are Bengal tigers, then Ridley sea turtles. So, tigers, both the kind of tigers, regular and white tigers are there protected, and turtles are also protected in this national park, which is present in the West Bengal. Next is Kanha National Park at Madhya Pradesh, which is protecting animals are swamp deer. So this swamp deer is protected in this Kanha National Park, and it is one of the rare species of the deer. Then Gir National Park at Gujarat, where the protected animals are Asiatic lion. So Asiatic lion, which are endangered species, are protected in this Gir National Park, which is situated in Gujarat. Next is Manasa National Park at Himalaya foothills, which is protecting animals like tiger, rhinoceros, elephant, etc. Next is Ranthambore National Park, which is there at Rajasthan, which is protecting animals like tiger, leopards, wild boars, etc. Dachingam National Park, which is there in the Jammu Kashmir, protects the animal hangul, that is Kashmir stag. You can see in the picture, this is one of the animal which is called hangul, which is protected in this national park present in the Jammu Kashmir. Next is sanctuaries. These are the smallest area than the national park. In this area, human activity is allowed to collect fruit, seeds, honey, animal grazing, etc. Wildlife sanctuaries of India, like Ranganthi 2 bird sanctuary in Karnataka. Then assembled species of the bird are protected over there. Then Bhadra wildlife sanctuary in Karnataka. In Kannada, the protected animals are tiger over there. Then Periyar Wildlife Sanctuary in Kerala, the protected animals are elephants over there. Annamalai Wildlife Sanctuary of Tamil Nadu, they are protecting different kinds of tigers. Zoological gardens. The zoo are the place where different endangered animals are protected. So, Chamarajendra Zoological Park at Mysore, it is there. Then Bannerghatta Zoological Park of the Bangalore is there. Pilikula Zoological Park in Mangalore is present. Lion Safari in Talagappa, Shimoga, it is present. IBWL, Indian Board of Wildlife, WWFI, World Wildlife India. These are the some people which are protecting this all in different areas or different sanctuaries. Global issues about this conservation of the animal, it is there are different kind of global issues are there, because some of the area it is found that people are not looking at or taking care of the animals and plants as they are becoming danger. So there are some issues which are raised because of this activity of human. Biodiversity depletion and ecological imbalance is discussed in international level, is called global issue, which is concerned to the environment. The major global issues are global warming, acid rain formation, ozone depletion and nuclear winter. So these are the different global issues which are happening around because of the loss of biodiversity. In that, global warming is most common and known to everyone. The progressive increase in the temperature of earth due to increase in greenhouse gases is called global warming, and this global warming is responsible for increasing the temperature. So already because of increased temperature, this global warming is happening. The greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur, methane and water vapors are trapping the infrared rays that are getting reflected back, means from sunlight these infrared rays are coming on the earth's surface, and from there, as they are not useful, given back or reflected back from the earth, but these in the atmosphere, if the carbon dioxide, oxides of nitrogen, oxides of sulfur, methane and water vapors are majorly present, they will trap all the radiations, these red rays of the sunlight will be trapped, and this will increase the atmospheric temperature. This will be leading for increasing the temperature. So here the spectrum, you can see the VIBGYOR visible spectrum here along with the increasing wavelength. So the solar spectrum of the electromagnetic waves includes energy packed heat generating waves called radiation waves. As they lie beyond red color waves of visible spectrum, they are also called infrared rays. These infrared rays lie in this wavelength range of 700 to 900 nanometer. Nm. The wavelength is not mm, it is nm, nanometer. Here the reflection and all the concepts are shown in the diagram so that you can understand. Here the reflected rays from the sunlight here, otherwise it will get entry inside through the atmosphere, and it will be when it is reflecting back, it will be trapped in the atmosphere. Then the radiation will be absorbed by the greenhouse gases. These are the patch of it which will be absorbing them, and then once they have absorbed it, they are responsible for increasing the heat of the atmosphere. And those gases which are responsible for trapping these red light radiations are the gases called greenhouse gases, which are emitted from the industries, different cooling agents from the different burning fuels, etc. Effect of global warming. The sea level rises due to the melting of the ice caps. So the global warming or the increased temperature is responsible for melting of the ice caps, and it will be responsible for reducing the agricultural yield. As the ice caps are melt, they will be adding the water into the reservoir of nearby, and responsible for flood situation in that area, and the agricultural yields are getting lost. Then alters the rainfall pattern due to variations in the convection current, so which is caused by difference in heating pattern of the earth's air. So earth's air gets heated, and it will be responsible for altering the rainfall pattern as well. Change or shifts in seasons and seasonal characters throughout the globe, it is one of the kind of effect. Control measures, adopting afforestation and reforestation program. Afforestation means in which area there was the forest and it has means it has cut down that forest area only to develop again for growing different plants in that area. That is called afforestation. And reforestation means the area which is barren area, means empty area. Before there was no forest existed on that area, such area will be developed for the growth of different plants in that area. It is called reforestation program. So when the afforestation and reforestation programs will be run, it will be responsible for controlling somehow. Reducing in use of fossil fuel. So unnecessary or over exploitation of fossil fuels should be reduced. Then using renewable energy resources like solar energy, wind energy, tidal energy, etc. So which are renewable, which can be reformed, such kind of energy should be used. And when these renewable energy resources will be used, they will be utilizing and reused also, reform also. So there will be no over exploitation of the non-renewable energy sources, and global warming also can be controlled. Because of global warming, one more thing is happening. The cause of global warming, one more cause is there, ozone layer depletion. Ozone layer depletion is one of the cause for the increasing the temperature of the atmosphere. Ozone is the alternative form of the oxygen molecule. It is O3. Oxygen has O2 and it has O3. The ozone layer is present in the stratosphere, which is above the atmosphere. Here you can see in the slide over here, the earth, above earth troposphere is there, then ozone layer is there, and then stratosphere is there. So troposphere, atmosphere, ozone layer, stratosphere, these are the layers around the earth which are present. So the ozone layer is present in the stratosphere is about 25 kilometer above the earth surface. So away from 25 kilometers away from the earth surface, this layer is present, which is called stratosphere, and above which the and in between which the ozone layer is existed. It is a protective layer, protects the life on earth by preventing UV rays, alpha rays, beta rays and gamma rays to be entering inside the atmosphere or earth. So they are responsible for this. Ozone layer is responsible for reflecting back these UV rays, alpha rays, beta rays, gamma rays, these harmful rays, so that they will not enter in the atmosphere or on the surface of earth. The thickness of ozone layer is measured by an instrument, ozone mapping spectrometer. The reduction in thickness of ozone layer leads to ozone depletion and ozone hole. So initially ozone layer depletion is happening, the thickness is getting reduced, and then later on it will be appearance of a complete area without ozone layer, which is called ozone hole. Through these holes, harmful radiation reaches the earth. It destroys the life and biodiversity. So directly these harmful rays will enter if there is no ozone layer. 16th September is celebrated as World Ozone Day to create awareness about ozone layer depletion. So to create awareness about ozone layer depletion, 16th September will be celebrating or is celebrating worldwide as Ozone Day. The ozone layer is depleting due to chlorofluorocarbon. This is one of the harmful gas, CFCs. Halogenated hydrocarbons, then carbon tetrachloride. These are the three different kind of gases which are interacting with the ozone layer and destroying the ozone layer. Effect of ozone layer depletion. It increases the influx of UV radiation to the earth. So maximum UV radiation reaches to the earth. Influx means entry of the UV radiation to the surface of the earth. The UV rays are harmful to plants and animals. So these are entering inside the atmosphere and reaching to the earth's surface, which are harming the plants and animals. The harmful rays causes skin cancer, skin burn, etc. So if they are approaching to our skin is getting burned, then it may cause the cancer of skin. These rays causes mutation by damaging DNA. It may cause damage in the DNA and it may cause a kind of changes in the genetic makeup. It affects crop yield. So it is also responsible for having effect on the crop yield. It will be getting reduced. It destroys the ovum and larva of amphibians. So it is responsible for destroying ovum and larva of the amphibians. So population of amphibian is growing less because of this UV radiations approaching to the earth. Next concept is nuclear winter. It is the hypothetical climatic condition of earth that could be outcome of nuclear war. So this nuclear war, if occurs in future, causes nuclear winter. The effect of nuclear winter are the nuclear explosion set fire storms over cities and forests. So this nuclear explosion set a kind of firestorms over cities and forests. It generates enormous smoke and dust in atmosphere. It develops black clouds and prevents the sunlight to reach the earth's surface. This results in fall of surface temperature to freezing point. So it will be responsible for resulting in fall of the surface temperature to freezing point. The semi-darkness and freezing temperature affects the photosynthesis and destroys vegetation. So this results in fall of surface temperature to freezing point will be responsible for reducing the sediment semi-darkness and freezing temperature effects. Photosynthesis become less and destroy vegetation also. Vegetation means different kind of species growth in the area will be reduced. The radioactive pollutants causes mutations and cancer in the human beings and other animals too. Okay, let's now look at all the components which are covered in this video. To learn this, I am going to play this video so that you will be understanding all the concepts which we have already covered, but a kind of revision and some of the details are explained in this video.
In prehistoric times, human beings lived in harmony with nature. But as centuries passed, human needs changed to greed, and soon they started exploiting nature's wealth. Various human activities, such as overexploitation, fragmentation of habitats, introduction of exotic species, and pollution, have caused a great loss of species diversity. At present, more than 15,500 species worldwide are on the verge of extinction. If we do not take any measures against this loss soon, nearly 50% of species on Earth may be extinct within the next 100 years. However, why exactly do we need to conserve our biodiversity? Imagine a world without birds, plants, or your favorite animals. There are many reasons to conserve our biodiversity, which can be grouped into three categories: narrowly utilitarian, broadly utilitarian, and ethical. According to the first reason, narrowly utilitarian, biodiversity must be conserved as we get direct economic benefits from nature in the form of food, fiber, firewood, and several industrial products such as tannins, lubricants, dyes, resins, and perfumes. In addition, most plants are of great medicinal value. In fact, about 25,000 plant species are used in traditional medicines by indigenous people globally. Moreover, there are many plants in the tropical rainforests whose medicinal importance is yet to be discovered. What if these plants have the power to cure several life-threatening diseases, but are also on the verge of extinction? Currently, most nations are exploring bioprospecting, whereby human resources are used to explore molecular, genetic, and species-level diversity for products of economic importance. This means nations with richer biodiversity will probably receive greater economic benefits compared to nations with less biodiversity. Another reason to conserve biodiversity is broadly utilitarian, as it provides major services such as photosynthesis and pollination. Photosynthesis that takes place in green plants initiates energy flow in an ecosystem. Without this process, life on Earth would be impossible. In fact, the Amazon rainforest, also known as the lungs of the planet, produces more than 20% of the world's oxygen through the process of photosynthesis. Will we be able to replace this service by an artificial one? Imagine its cost when an oxygen cylinder costs a few hundred rupees. Another important ecosystem service is pollination, in which several insects and birds function as pollinators. Without the help of these pollinators, we would not have got fruit or seeds. Do you think we can lose such important service providers, especially when it affects our survival? Besides all these benefits, we get priceless, intangible benefits from nature, such as the pleasure of watching naturally growing flowers and birds chirping at sunrise. Apart from narrowly and broadly utilitarian reasons, there are ethical reasons to conserve our biodiversity. Without plants, animals and microbes, life on Earth would be close to impossible. Every species on Earth has an intrinsic value, even though it might not have a price tag attached to it. It is our moral responsibility to take care, protect, and preserve our Earth's rich biodiversity for future generations. Whether ethical, narrowly or broadly utilitarian reasons to conserve our Earth's biodiversity, the need to conserve our biodiversity is critical. Our planet is inhabited by millions of